that reunion was a doozy. I just want to know, how are you feeling about it now, reliving it all?
Living it, I felt very bullied by some of the other female cast members. I still feel that way, but now that I am where I am and I'm with Jeramey, I guess I don't really I it's not my focus anymore. I,
You're
I
like, I
don't
don't
know.
really care.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, right? Like I got what I came for, so it's really hard to be mad. I went there for the right reasons, for the experiment, to find someone that I could fall in love with and potentially marry, and it happened to work for me. It wasn't a straight and narrow path to get there, but ultimately, I got it.
I want to know, though, watching it back and living it all again, is there anything that you would have done or said differently in that reunion?
I would first like to start by saying that a lot of people have reacted and say, well, you got defensive. And I'm like, well, if we're watching the same reunion, you're seeing a lot of fire coming at myself and Jeramey for a good chunk of time. And being that I am a human being, I'm going to defend myself. I have to, I'm there, I'm fighting my fight for myself and my relationship. And so, um, you know, I just didn't respect the fact that Laura came in and was calling Jeramey, my significant other, names. So when you see me lash out, it's because I'm protecting the person that I love and care about. And and I would expect the same for me. I nobody to my knowledge called me anything out of my name, which is good. But as far as doing things differently, I don't think that there was an option for us to do anything differently. I think I knew walking out on that stage what it was going to be. I knew that there were going to be some really tough questions, and I was prepared to be authentic and open and honest and as transparent as I could be while still defending my relationship and fighting for a love that I believe in. And so no, I don't think that it could have been different. I think we did the best that we could, given the high pressure situation. So, I apologized to Laura at the lake, and I was very sincere in that and very real in that. Um, Unfortunately, her perspective was different than mine. I doubled down. I apologized again at the reunion. And at this point, I have no more apologies left. I'm happy with where I'm at. I got the relationship that I was looking for, and
Yeah.
that's it.
I do want to talk about that late conversation because this was the first time fans, viewers got to see it during the
Yeah.
reunion. And Laura did say a lot of alarming things about Jeramey. Was there no hesitation from you after hearing all those things about pursuing a relationship then with Jeramey?
You know, I went to her for her to be able to unload how she felt about me and to apologize to Laura and really hear her out. She offered up that information on her own, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll take that with a grain of salt. Thank you so much. But I've I needed to find out for myself,
Mm,
and I've since been with Jeramey for a year, and I can tell you that the reason she felt that way is because they did not have the connection that Jeramey and I do. Their
mm.
chemistry probably wasn't there. Compatibility is a real thing. And so when you're not compatible with someone, you you're coming in from different perspectives, and that's how she perceived Jeramey. I do not perceive him that way. I think he's a great man. Everything that she said is false from my perspective. Um, so yeah, fast forward to a year later, I mean, none of that is true on
Okay.
my end.
So,
So
because one of the big things that she did say was she claimed that Jeramey did not come on the show for marriage. That was not his intention. So, for you guys, a year later, do you see marriage in the future? Like, is that your next step?
you got it. It's definitely something that we've talked about. Upon leaving the experiment and starting our relationship, we really, really we were kind of like looking at each other like we know a lot about each other. Where do we go from here? Do we go ahead and get married? And so there was like a little awkward point almost. Naturally, right? Because we're seeing each other in person, we're getting to know our mannerisms and just everything. Body language is real. And so we put a pause on that because we wanted to dive into the relationship in a very real way and get to know a lot more about each other. It's obviously progressed. We live together now, and it's definitely something we've talked about. So, but we want to do it on our own terms. We had this beautiful experience together, and a story to tell, but ultimately, it's just going to be that much more special when we decide to go that route. So,
But I will say at the reunion, Chelsea said that you guys have been on and off. The 2 times that she did see Jeramey, he said that you guys weren't together. Was that a Jeramey decision or was that a you decision when you took that time off?
Jeramey and I have never been quote unquote on and off. I wouldn't say that. I think the way that she phrased that is false. Jeramey and I have had real life relationship struggles. Like I had mentioned, going from just getting to know someone and then moving in, living with them, it's little things, right? Like Jeramey, we've all seen, he's a very, very clean person. And so, I like to have appliances on the countertops because I get up and make toast every morning and he doesn't love that. So, it's just little things like that where we've been like, is this going to work? Are we compatible in the real world outside of the experiment? Like we know we love each other, but are we compatible in person? And so we've never fully broken our relationship off. We've taken days where we're like, hey, let's just give each other some space. And I think there was some confusion with what Chelsea said. Like, every time I see you, you're on and off. Well, we have a lot of trust in our relationship. And so if he's out with friends and he's like, yeah, Sarah and I are, just taking a night to ourselves, that can be misconstrued for on and off. And the reality of it is that's not true. We've been dating since, let's see, 3 weeks, I think, after the lake, if my timeline is correct. So, to my knowledge, everything is going.
Okay. Okay, because yes, it definitely made it seem, and even what Jeramey was saying at the reunion, that there was some on and off periods. But I do want to know
Yeah.
though, watching this all play back and him ultimately picking Laura to begin with, how did that affect then your dynamic now living together, watching this all play out a year later?
Well, it hasn't affected us really much at all. Again, we don't have communication with any of the female cast.
Okay.
And if you're asking if I felt like as if I were like a second option or anything, I never did because everybody dated everybody at one point, and down to that very last bit in the pods where someone has they're dating two different people and you have really strong connections. And I can't fault Jeramey for making the best decision he could for himself at that time with the information he was being given, which we've had a year to discuss the information that he was being given.
Wait, can you
Um,
rewind what information he was being given?
yeah. So, of course, Jeramey and I talked a lot about the experiment after it concluded back in March, April. And he told me that after the date that we had, it was 3 hours long. I went into an interview. I'm like, Jeramey and I are getting married. Like, it's going to be great. He has since let me know that Laura came in after hearing me and my excitement and was speaking ill about me to Jeramey in the pods. And so when you see me reacting on the reunion saying, you were talking about me or talking shit about me in the pods, you're the pick me, that's what I meant. It was, him telling me that she came in and said that I had a ton of other connections and I was talking about being in love with other people. And, this is stuff that I found out post the experiment. So, yeah.
Here's the thing, you found love the way it was unconventional, and I know you are getting a lot of heat from it. How have you guys been dealing with that heat?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? When before everything aired, we talked about it and I was like, we are a team. We have to have each other's back through this. And You know, it's funny, a lot of people ask me that question, but we're in our day-to-day lives. Like, we're just living and working and doing our thing, and it really, if you don't get on the internet, you don't see it.
True.
You don't. And so, you know, we just, and in fact, when you go out in public, everybody that's like, you know, keyboard warriors, they don't act that way in public. They're like, oh my God, and so excited. So him and I, whenever we need a mental break to decompress, we just say, you know, let's just agree to put our phones down for the night, focus on each other. And that's how we've been really navigating it all. You know, I would be lying if I said that we're not human, and sometimes people telling us to go die is a little bit outlandish and wild. So, being a human being, you don't want to see that from anyone. And so, but at the end of the day, I know who I am. I think, you know,
Mm.
Jeramey, I don't want to speak for him, but he knows who he is, and we both just try to be better for each other every day in the relationship.
Can you just confirm for the 100th time that this relationship is real and love is blind?
Yes, this relationship is real. We've been dating for a year, and love is definitely blind for Jeramey and I.